Hey everyone, welcome back to the Practical Dad Podcast. It is me, your host, Josh Fitchett, and today we have a special guest, a dear friend of mine, actually more than a friend. He's a brother from another mother. His name is Johnny Terra, or in his Brazilian name, João Marcos. And I hope I said that right, but I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard language to learn, Portuguese. Anyways, Johnny's been a great friend of mine. I met him in college. We did accounting together, and he has gone on to be a CPA, and I've gone in another direction. I'm a pastor, obviously, but I wanted to be financially smart for the church is one of the reasons I went the accounting route. But met Johnny at college, and the dude is smart. He is brilliant when it comes to the finances and accounting. Just in general, he's a smart guy, anyways. But I wanted to have him on. He knows a lot about the financial world. That's what he does. And so, with him doing all that financial consistently all the time, thought it'd be smart to bring him on to talk to us about the finances that we have as fathers and what is it that we can do to be better fathers with the finances. There's many different avenues that we can go down, but today we're going to be looking at automation. And so this is a pre-recorded uh, session that we did a little bit earlier. And for some reason on my side, and you'll hear in just a minute, it just sounded weird. The audio wasn't the greatest. So I do apologize. I know that can be a nuisance to your ear, and I don't want to be a nuisance to your ear. So you can ignore my part. But his section is good quality audio. And without further ado, here's the episode for today. All right, Johnny. Well, thanks for joining us today. And go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself so our audience can know a little bit of who you are and where you're from, what you're doing.
Josh, man, thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It's a pleasure to be here. And man, we've known each other since college and taking classes together and all that. It's been a fun ride in history behind the scenes. So, my name is Johnny Terra. Like you mentioned, I'm from Brazil originally. I got here back in 2008. Started playing basketball at Wayland Baptist University in Plainview, Texas. Met my wife there, Aubrey Terra. We got two kids now. James is almost 3. Charlotte is almost 1. I've been a CPA since I last remember, probably for the past 10 years now. And then I love finances and business and personal finances where, we can put a plan together and actually help somebody, reach their goals. So this is kind of where I do. I work with individuals, specifically small business owners, and just help them run their business better.
Yeah, man, Johnny, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate all the time.
I do. I try to manage my time accordingly. Everything is on the calendar. If not, it's not official. It's not gonna happen. I won't remember.
Yeah.
I do have sleep on my calendar. I do have, take out the trash. I do have other things on my calendars, personal and work, is because keeping up with the kiddos and spend some time with the wife and also taking care of the work. There's some weird hours that we work, but we get the work done.
Wow. Well, it sounds to me like you're very intentional about what you're doing. Is that true, or does that
Oh,
look like? Is that what?
absolutely. Absolutely, Josh. Again, the one of the things that keeps reminding me every time when we talk about this, it's one of the passages of the Bible that I know I might take it out of context a little bit, but it's what speaks to me directly. It's the parable of the talents. And then every time I read there, the last phrases that hits me hard is, your wicked lazy servant. So you have your talents, you have your abilities and skills and your knowledge and your resources available in front of you all the time. So you better use them the best of your abilities. And another quote from the Bible too is, a man without a vision will perish. So my wife and I, we always meet every December talking about what we're planning to do next year, so that her and I are kind of in the same page. And we do that for our finances, for our health, for our family, for our kiddos. We've been doing that since our first year of marriage.
Man, that's awesome. Well, that's part of the reason I wanted you on here. Johnny is one of the, like I said, he's one of the busiest guys that I know of, but he seeks to manage his time well, his family time, his time with his children. And so I wanted to invite him here just to be able to talk about, what are some practical steps that he does in his life that helps him be intentional about spending time with his children. Now, obviously, that's going to include your wife, but that's not for today. That's a different episode for a different podcast. But yeah, there's a verse. Yeah, I think it's in Psalm 90. It says to teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom.
Mm.
There's a lot of verses in the Bible that talk about like the flowers fading, the grass withers, just the brevity of life, how short life is. And if you just take that, there's actually a parent app. I think it's called the Parent Q. I think that's the app, Parent Q. You can put in your child's like 18th birthday or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
it begins to count down how much time you have left with that child.
Oh, wow.
And so I have four, and so it's crazy. I put all four in, and it shows me how many days I have left with each child before they basically leave the house. And so it's just a reminder of how short, life is short, but so also is our time where our children are in our homes. And I mean, even when they start hitting middle school, high school, they're so busy with activities that we have to, like you said, like I said earlier, be intentional about our time. So I wanted to take a few minutes to ask you some questions, or first of all, just tell us, what is something practical that you do in your everyday life that's helpful to spend time with your children?
Yeah, I like what you said so far. So I take very simple things. So let's start with this top down approach. So don't be afraid of saying no, right? Look at your calendar, and look at well, throughout the week, throughout the months of the year, and it's like, what's in there that is taking your time that shouldn't be taking your time, right? So that's the top down approach of removing the big rocks out of the way, because we need to be intentional with our time. We have short time. We all have 24 hours in a day, no matter if you're poor or rich, black
Hmm.
or white, it doesn't matter. And you have 24 hours to spend, and you decide how you're going to spend that. I start my day before I go to bed. Actually look at my calendar for the next day, so as soon as I wake up, I'm comfortable and know exactly what's going to happen, back to back kind of deal. So start with that top down approach, remove the big rocks out of the way. And then the second step of that, do the bottom up approach, which is the things that you are doing right now after you have removed the big rocks and the things that are unnecessary to your life. How can you do them better and faster, right? A little bit more intentional. So start with
Mm.
that top down approach, remove the big things, only leave there the things that matter, and then the things that matters, do the bottom up approach and make sure you're doing them the best and faster way that you can, so that you can move on to the next thing. It can be, spending time with your kids, and spending time with your wife, or working on something that you're working for your job.
Wow. Man, that's like there's a lot in there that you just mentioned that we could go off on. So many tangents we could go off on that are good tangents. I mean, when you say when you're saying these words of like saying you have to say no, first of all, that can be an episode in itself. But I like that having the ability and understanding to say no to certain things. And I think if I would add anything to that, from like I'm hearing you say that, and I'm like, oh man, this is what came to my mind. When you say no to something, it's because you're saying yes to something else.
Yes.
And so, like saying no to, I don't know, going to the swimming pool by yourself is you're saying yes to spending time with your children or whatever's necessary. But this we're dealing with practical parents here. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into their discipline, the review, the intentionality of that. Wow. Well, let's try to keep it practical for the people listening. What are some things that are you are doing that are automating? I know I've talked to you before, and you had mentioned something about automation and not wasting time there. And I thought, oh, I've never really considered that before.
Mhm.
What automations do you have practically in your life that
Okay.
helps you to, um, or whatever that kind of equivalent to that saying no?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a CPA, so I'm definitely going to talk about finances. So this concept apply to anything, right? So you follow a three-step process. You eliminate, you automate, and then you delegate, right? So you don't automate something that could have been eliminated, and then you don't delegate something to somebody else that you could have automated. Okay, so let's talk about this on this concept of personal finances. Bills. We all have bills. They all come in every month on a certain schedule, right?
Mhm.
There are certain bills that you can eliminate. Maybe you pick Hulu over Netflix, something like that, right? But then the things that you're paying right now, let's say your car insurance, your mortgage, right? Your life insurance, if you have something like that, your health insurance, those kinds of things, or even your savings, right? You can automate that part. And I can imagine living a life right now that I live, running around with my chicken cut in my head, like a chicken cut off, and still remember to pay the bill, right?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I gotta write that check for my mortgage company. Like, no, there's no way. So, and for automation of paying the bills, there's two parts of that, right? You can pull or you can push. So think about this: you can go to the mortgage company and set up the auto pay or the auto debit, same thing, in their website that they will pull that money out of your checking account. Okay,
Mm.
that's normal. And then the other way is you go into your online bank account for your checking account, and then you can push a payment, let's say, to your electrical company, right? Most likely, usually utility companies, I'm going to call it, Excel and Atmos Energy. If you go to the bill pay system of your online checking account, most likely you can set up them for you can just press the button and make that payment because the dollar amount changes, right? Or the
Mhm.
same thing, you can always go to their website and authorize them to do an auto debit, and they will pull the money accordingly on that certain schedule. You don't incur fees, everything is paid on time. You don't have to worry about. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how we do it. So let's talk about like tithing, right? That was one of the last steps for me to truly devote myself, to the Christian world and become a follower of Jesus Christ. And it's because I'm all about the money, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's my world, my whole world. So for me, I don't like to show people that I'm actually tithing. Walking down the aisle and drop a check or drop cash there. I actually most likely the church that we go to have ability to go through their website and set up that tithing automatic
Mhm.
to come out to our account. That way, I'm not touching. I'm not thinking about it. Should I do this? Should I do not? It's always going to happen on a certain schedule for the exact amount.
Right. Yeah, man. There's so much stuff in there that's good. I was trying to write it down, and as I was writing, I thought, wait a minute, this is recorded. I'm so thankful that I'm gonna go back and just listen and re-listen to this. So good. You're talking about the automation of finances and how much that just saves you time. And this visual came to me. I remember my parents when I was little. I'd go in there. My dad would be like writing checks and putting them in an envelope and then licking the envelope and putting a stamp on it. And then my mom would be in there like I didn't know what she was doing at the time, and I figured out as I grew older she was balancing the checkbook. I don't know if anybody knows what that is today, but yeah, she's writing the numbers of what checks she expended and how much is left in the bank. And I mean that took at least 30 minutes to an hour just doing partial bills. And this is before we had all the opportunities that we have to spend today. And so I cannot imagine trying to properly manage finances without automation and still provide that time for your children.
Right.
Because I mean, you
Yeah,
said we all have 24 hours.
right.
If you think
Exactly.
about, what is your normal work schedule hourly in a day, Johnny? I'm asking you.
Um, it depends, but we don't stick with the 8 to 5. Sometimes it's like 5 in the morning until 10 o'clock, and then I gotta help with the kiddos, and then come back
Hmm.
at 3 p.m. and they'll go all the way to maybe let's say 6 or 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
We have a hard stop for lunch because that's one of the most important times of the day. We have a hard stop for dinner because I want to have dinner with the kiddos and the wife, and of course, we had a hard stop to putting them to bed. I like to be part of that every night. So, one of the funniest stories you talk about, your parents and going back to them, and you seeing your dad in the living room, writing the checks and licking the envelopes and all that. When my wife and I got married, one of her adulting expectations was to receive bills in the mail. And she mentioned when we got married that it's like I kind of quote unquote destroyed one of her expectation of adulting of receive bills in the mail because we
Yeah.
don't have any mail.
Well, I
Everything
mean,
is electronic. Everything goes to our email address, and
yeah,
she doesn't see it.
yeah, yeah. Man, this is good stuff. I had a professor who once they were spending so much time sorting mail that I can't remember if it was third party or whatever, but they basically said once they get that, they just toss it. They don't even look at it. They had separate piles, and it was again about like stewarding your time because we all have the same amount of time. And I mean, when I think about like if someone has a normal 8 to 5 or 7 to 4 schedule, whatever, and you go pick up the kids, especially if they're younger kids, you may pick them up, let's say 4:30 or 5. Well, what time do they usually go to bed? And a lot of homes where they're trying to get their children to get 12 hours of sleep, they're going to bed at 8 o'clock, which means you have 3 hours with your child once you get home, and you're trying to cook in between all that, and so there's a lot going on, as you said, and if we could save 30 minutes here or there, just imagine saving 30 minutes once a week because we're automating the bills now. Well, 30 minutes over 50 so weeks over 18 years, that makes a lot of time.
Yes, it does. And I can tell how much time I have. Like, I literally don't touch my bills. Uh, in any month. Again, everything's automated, everything's auto debit, goes to our checking account. We have our budget. That's another topic for discussion later and all that.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't worry about it. I don't think about it, and it helps me with my mindset to go back to my kids, and spend time with them.
I mean, I love it. I love it. Just again, where are we gonna? What's more valuable to us, spending time on bills or spending time holding our child or throwing the ball or reading a Bible story or just a story? It's pretty simple. And so, man, you've already challenged me and encouraged me to automate my bills even more.
The biggest one is your mortgage, right? The second one is your savings, either for retirement or for right now, for some sort of like emergency savings. Automate those. Start with the big ones, and as you get comfortable, then move on to the little ones. But for sure, the ones that show up every month, your mortgage and utilities, you absolutely should automate them. You have to pay them, or you can't live, right? So
Hmm.
if you have to pay them, why not automate and move on? And you don't have to worry about late fees or the water being cut off or the electricity being cut off or any of that, right? Or getting a nasty letter in the mail saying that you're past due on your mortgage because you're like, oh man, I forgot to do that last Tuesday.
Yes. One of the things I love about this podcast is that we have the open availability for questions and comments and opinions, and we want to feedback on that with future episodes. And I can probably hear a question that would come out of this and say, I'd love to automate, but I don't have enough money in my bank account. And so,
Mm.
Johnny, we're running out of time on this episode, but we're going to have you on here again to talk about maybe just some of the basic steps to finances, maybe college finances for your children, or preparing for their future. There's so many things we could talk about practically to be dads, but I know we have a big step here as far as what can we automate, and basically when we say no to something, we're saying yes to something else. And so, man, any last words that you would have for the listeners on here?
No, just kind of wrap up. Start with the top-down approach, remove the big rocks, then whatever's left, work them up as to make as fast and easier on you as possible. A lot of people confuse instead of simplifying their financial life, and then go into your mortgage and utility websites and set up the auto payment. All you need is a copy of your check because they're gonna ask your routing and checking account number so that you can spend more time with your kids and your family. I love that you invited me to talk about this, because this is dear and touch my heart every time when I talk to people about finances, because there are better things to do instead of sitting down on your living room or in your kitchen table and just open all the envelopes and paying the bills and all that kind of stuff. Go watch a movie, go play with the kiddos
Hmm.
instead of being sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Johnny. I appreciate you so much for taking time out. I know you're, like I said, you have a busy schedule, and just to take time out to talk to some of the dads and encourage me too as a father, just appreciate it so much. We pray for blessings upon your life and your family's life, brother.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you having me. This is awesome.
Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in to this week's episode. Just want to remind you, if you have questions that you'd like to ask us, or maybe future episodes that you would like for us to explore, you can email us at practicaldadpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you just have an opinion or just something you want to share with us, we'd love to hear that news. Once again, it is practicaldadpodcast@gmail.com.